So, good morning, everybody. My name is Mark Jenkins with AAA, the Auto Club Group. We're here to talk about a fast-moving trend, e-bikes and e-scooters. They're quickly appearing out on city streets, neighborhoods, sidewalks, crosswalks, and college campuses right here in UNF. And people of all ages are using these: adults, teenagers, college students, even young children. But unfortunately, a lot of people underestimate the power of these devices. I mean, to put it in context, your standard bicycle, recreational bike, might be ridden about 10 to 15, maybe 20 miles per hour, whereas the e-bike, it goes 20, 30, 40, sometimes 60 miles per hour. And unfortunately, very few people who are riding these devices are wearing helmets, and that's deeply concerning. And so as a result of that, trauma centers across the state, even the country, are reporting an alarming increase in injuries and even deaths. So we want to make this very clear. AAA is not here to condemn the use of e-bikes and scooters, but we do want to raise awareness about their presence and discourage the risky driving habits that contribute to these crashes. Of course, not everyone is guilty of this, but for those e-wheel users who speed down the sidewalks, who weave in and out of traffic and ride intoxicated or without a helmet, you're just putting yourself and other people at risk. And of course, many automobile drivers, they're getting used to sharing the road with these e-devices as well. So you have to realize as a driver, the risky habits that you employ, whether that's driving distracted, driving impaired, not coming to a complete stop at red lights or stop signs, this raises the risk of colliding with these vulnerable road users. And adding to the challenge, you have technology which seems to be moving faster than infrastructure and legislation can keep up with. Right now, there are currently no national standards on e-bike speed limits, safety equipment, or even minimum rider age. It's up to local municipalities to set the rules on where these devices can ride and what kind of requirements there are set on them. So for all of these reasons, AAA is launching this safety campaign called Safe Streets for Small Wheels. We're encouraging drivers and e-wheel users to share the road safely, look out for each other, and practice safe habits. So we're rolling this Safe Streets for Small Wheels campaign out across the state, starting this week right here in Jacksonville. You'll see our message on local news stations, social media, billboards, and select college campuses. We're also partnering with various stakeholders throughout the state, including right here in Jacksonville. The first of them is the University of North Florida. Joining us here today from the University of North Florida Police Department to talk about how they manage the increased use of e-bikes and scooters on campus. Please welcome Deputy Chief Adam Brown.
Good morning. My name is Adam Brown. I'm Deputy Chief here at UPD, and we're going to talk a little bit about the Safe Streets for Small Wheels program being initiated by AAA. I'd like to start by thanking AAA for being here and for their partnership with us as we attempt to spread awareness, educate, and save lives. I can tell you as a police officer here on campus, we have seen an increase in the e-bikes and the e-scooters. In addition to that, we've always had a lot of scooters, bicycles, and skateboards, but we're also seeing motorized skateboards, and we're seeing things called uniwheels. There's a lot of different ways that kids and even some of the faculty and staff are getting around campus. And well, what's the issue with that? Well, we have a core campus that's got a lot of people on our sidewalks, and we're trying to share those sidewalks and even the roadways with people on these devices. So I wanted to talk a little bit about some ways that we can make the roadways and we can make core campus safer. The first thing is we already have a program in place. It's called Stroll It, Don't Roll It. And when you see these crosswalks that go across our roadways, stroll it, don't roll it refers to get off your bicycle, get off your scooter or whatever your device is and walk it across. Don't ride it across, because a lot of times these bikes and these skateboards, they're going to go across the roadways very quickly, and you don't always have a lot of time to adjust to that. I would also want to bring up be aware, and that goes for people in cars, that goes for pedestrians or people on these devices. Be aware of what's around you. Don't just dart out in front of traffic. Don't ride recklessly in heavily pedestrian filled walkways. Already we have regulations on campus. You're not supposed to be on these devices under covered walkways in heavily populated parts of campus or right adjacent to the buildings. We ask that people be aware of that. And also, and it was alluded to before, I'd like to bring up the fact that it's very important, even though in the state of Florida you don't have to wear a helmet on a bicycle unless you're under the age of 16, I recommend helmets and other safety equipment when you're using any of these devices. If anyone who's been around and seen slow speed crashes with whether it's skateboards, bikes, scooters, whatever, head injuries can very easily occur. So we recommend that the people here on campus take advantage of those when they're operating these vehicles. Lastly, I just, to wrap this up, we all have to share the roadways and the sidewalks on campus together. So again, we just want to educate and we want to bring this to everyone's attention moving forward so that we can have a nice, safe campus and we can save lives and prevent injury. Thank you.
Deputy Chief, real quick.
Yes.
How big of a presence do e-wheels have here on campus? And what would you say that you're seeing in terms of people taking the proper safety precautions?
I can say a heavy presence. I've been here 8 years, and in my 8 years, every year it seems like we see a little bit more, especially the e-scooters, the e-bikes and the e-scooters, but the scooters especially. We're just seeing a lot more people, and I'm seeing a lot more people riding from off campus into campus. So they're actually out on the roadways, not necessarily here on campus. They're out on the roadways in Jacksonville riding these devices. So that's why this is so important.
Can you name maybe a specific situation that's happened on campus, which is maybe a reason why you're sounding the alarm on this issue?
Well, we've received a lot of complaints, and that's been from faculty, staff, and other students. A lot of complaints of people kind of zooming in and out of the pedestrians on campus. Fortunately, I pulled the stats for the last year. We've really only had one injury attributed to a scooter, and that wasn't even involving anyone else. It was just an accident that someone had on a scooter. But I want to get the message out there now before we do have serious problems.
So you're being proactive when it comes to that rather than reactive when it comes to these issues.
Yes, ma'am.
So it's a trend with young people. Is that another reason why you and AAA have decided, hey, we want to address this right here on campus because a lot of young people are starting to ride these vehicles and these devices?
Yes, it is. There's definitely an increase, and I'm glad you brought up the proactive versus reactive. We always want to be proactive, and whenever we here at UPD, when we see a trend developing, we like to, when we're moving into doing something about it, we always start with education first. We don't want to jump into enforcement. We're more concerned with saving lives and preventing injury than we are with the enforcement portion of it. So we've been doing frequent deployments where we issue verbal warnings and written warnings both. And we're in the education phase right now.
What message would you have for students who have one, they just got one, they want to ride it around campus? What message would you have for them as they're going to hit these roads and on campus? Be
careful, be alert, watch, have your head on a swivel, watch for cars, watch for pedestrians, obey the university regulations when it comes to don't ride these things under covered walkways and areas with heavy pedestrian traffic and in the roadways.
Do you think students are following the rules of the road they would in a car as they are if they're on an e-bike or e-scooters, or do you think that there's maybe a disconnect there?
I think a lot of them are, but there's some that I believe that just aren't really aware, and that's why we're doing this education piece. The ones that we stop will tell us frequently, I just had no idea. and then they'll correct their behavior. So that's why we're doing the education piece, is to correct that behavior and then hopefully save lives,
Are you
prevent injury.
concerned